Soleto. Hello, everybody. I think we can probably get started here. I don't have a particularly long agenda today, so if anyone has anything they would like to add, feel free to add it to the bottom. Otherwise, we'll probably have a short meeting. Which I think most people don't complain about short meetings, so. The first thing that I want to talk about is the contrib updating the core dependencies to version 0.25. There is one package that's failing the tests when I do the update, and I'm not sure why. The tests run locally just fine. I really can't figure out what's causing it. But I wanted to talk about how we want to handle this moving forward. Since the contrib components are now going to be owned by a bunch of different people.
Which component is failing, by the way?
The AWS Lambda instrumentation. I had hoped that somebody from AWS would be on the call today, but it looks like Will isn't here. But in general, I wanted to talk about if we have one, if we're doing an update like this that touches all the packages and one package is failing, I don't want it to hold up all of the other packages like it is right now. So I think we should create a policy. What are we going to do when this happens? Should I update the core on all of the instrumentations that are passing and just skip the AWS one and leave that up to their to that component owner to update it and to figure out what the issue is for their own component? Or should we, in general, should we leave updates to component owners? Should I not create a big PR that touches everything, and should each component owner be responsible for updating their own?
I think we could update everything if something is failing and you cannot figure out this easily. Don't upgrade this one, upgrade first, release, wait for the owner to fix it, and then release. Again, just this particular package that failed.
Yeah, I think that's probably fine with me. So I guess to sum that up, I'll say try to update all packages, skip packages which fail for non reasons, create an issue index. Does that seem reasonable? Will, it looks like you are here now. I'm not sure if you're aware. I think you are actually. You were commenting on the issue. When we were updating the core to version 25, the AWS Lambda instrumentation was failing to update.
Yeah, I was taking a look at that yesterday. Seems pretty tricky. Really couldn't find a thread to pull on, so totally in agreement with what you guys just discussed. Sorry for being late, but yeah, I do not want to be blocking the entire contribs release to 0.25. So and I think that future packages that are just having singular failures shouldn't block it either. So we'll investigate it asynchronously. And I think we can stick with being on 0.24 for the Lambda instrumentation for now.
Okay. Is everybody okay with that then? Okay. Not hearing anyone say no. We are still waiting on the exemption for the GitHub action, which does the release in the core repo. I'm really not sure what's holding it up. I commented on the issue And Liz told me that in the internal CNCF issue tracker, it's been shown as in progress for more than a week now. I talked to some of the other GC members about this to ask them what they think might be going on, and nobody really had any insight for me. The only thing that they thought was maybe there were internal discussions in the CNCF about whether they want to even grant that exemption. Because the GitHub Actions bot is not like the Dependabot that just does one thing. It's like it could technically be used for anything, really. So I'm really not sure what is happening there, but if it takes too much longer, I will probably just create a personal access token for my user and let the releases happen under my username just to get it unblocked for now. But I just wanted everyone to know that's sort of what's holding that up. I haven't forgotten about it, but it needs to be solved because if we have the same problem in contrib, we're just going to end up in a situation where we can't release anything. So after this meeting, I will probably reach back out to Liz. I haven't talked to her since last week. And see if she has any update, but if not, I'll probably run it under my own personal access token.
So is this really the only thing blocking at the SDK from going to 1.0 at this point?
At this point, yeah, unless somebody else has some reason they think it should be blocked. I mean, until it goes to 1.0, some issue could always be found, but for now, that's the only thing that I'm aware of that's blocking it.
Cool.
Any other questions? Sounds like no. I wanted to get some feedback from the people that are here who are component owners of some of the components in the contrib repo. I know it hasn't been that long yet, but I just wanted to see how is it going? Are there any pain points that we're not addressing, or are we being quick enough with merges and things like that? I just trying to get a general feeling for anybody that is a component owner that has dealt with the PR release or merge process over the last week or two. If it hasn't been long enough, I understand, but I don't know if anyone has had any pain points that we're not aware of yet.
I didn't had any pain points. Hold on, just a second.
I think you're echoing.
Didn't have any pain points. The only issue is that I don't know what's the policy in case I create a PR for a component which I'm the owner of, and then I need like another reviewer to review it. So we just need to decide on it and add it to the process. Maybe mark it in some way to signal that we need some other reviewer, which is not a component owner, to take a look.
Okay, that sounds like maybe a good feature for the action to add an automatic label on it or something like that. I think last week we agreed that if a component owner creates the PR, then we want one other person to look at it.
Okay. Cool. So I didn't remember it. But,
it looks like we didn't necessarily write it down, but the way we sort of, I think we'll treat it the same way that we treat like maintainers and approvers right now, where as the component owner, when you push the PR, that's kind of your, when you take it out of draft, you are sort of saying this PR has my approval, but I think we want one other person to take a look at it. But it should just be looking for obvious problems.
yeah.
I can't seem to find. I thought we talked about this last week, but I guess we didn't write it down.
Yeah, I didn't remember. So okay, cool. And other than that, it's been really smooth. Like there were no issues, at least on my components.
I'm glad to hear that. I think yours have been the only ones that have been sort of active over the last week, although I could be wrong there. I did see that some people, have been more active on the contrib, so that's good.
Yeah.
Anyone else have anything to add to that? Okay, well, I guess we'll move on then. I just wanted to draw people's attention to this PR, particularly browser experts, those that we have. I know, Bart, you originally wrote this instrumentation, so I would like your opinion on it. I'm not a browser expert by any means, so it looks fine to me, but I would like someone else to approve it before I merge it.
I just comment on that once more, but I'm just missing some unit tests for the changes, and I mean, the guy responded that it might be tricky, but you can basically do a mock on the Windows object and make sure the code here that will be executed. So I would still insist on adding some unit tests because of the changes.
Okay, so mocking an environment where the API doesn't exist, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, you can just create a mock object on window, even target, remove it, and make sure create some mocks if they don't exist, like this node for node and so on, and just make sure it's called.
Okay. I didn't really have anything other to say about that other than I'm not really an expert there, so I was just looking for someone who was.
And by the way, I'm the owner of this company. So,
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah.
I looked like there was no assignee, so where's the Are you sure that you're in the owners for this?
well, you can go ahead, go to GitHub Actions. Line 41.
How long ago did you add that? I wonder if it just needs to be redone.
I don't know, 1 week at least, probably.
If not, I'll take a look at and see
For
what's
sure
going on.
last week. For sure last week, not this week.
'Cause this should be assigning to you. So if this doesn't work here, then I'll look at this offline.
So unless there is some typo.
Yeah, there could be. Yeah, it looks like we're missing something. So
Okay.
I think it may be because you're already in the reviewers here. But I'll take a look. Aaron. What is going on here? Not an HTTP in the name.
Yep. Yeah, I pinged in the Slack about this yesterday. It's a pretty small thing, and I think I don't remember if it was this exact issue or a different one, but I raised it I think a few months back. Something similar. I think we decided not to do a rename because it was sort of like a knit, not a functional thing, and it would have caused some churn for other developers. So basically here, we have our W3C trace context propagator called with HTTP in the name, which isn't really, I think I think it must have just been like a leftover from an older spec or something like that. But yeah, in Java it's just called W3C, and in Python just trace context text map propagator. And I think Daniel, you asked me if I wanted to fix this. I'm happy to submit a PR. I just want to get like a consensus if it's worth doing this rename, and I definitely don't want to block the SDK if other people don't care about this so much.
Yeah, so I do remember it was not this issue. There was a different rename. I can't remember which one it was. I think I'm in favor of this rename because the trace context can be used for things that are not HTTP, and that would be confusing. If somebody's trying to inject context into something like like a message system or something like that, I think the name HTTP is kind of misleading and may make it a little bit more undiscoverable. So I would like to call it the trace context text map propagator. I think that is the Python name. I think is a good name. Do you know what they call it in the spec though?
In the spec, I think it just says, well, I may not have found the actual part, but it just says like the API may optionally include the W3C, and it's not spelled out like a code name. It just has spaces. They just sort of say what it is. But I can look around in the spec some more, unless anybody else knows.
Let's try to find the name in the spec if there is one. It may not be in there. Some things are not explicitly named in the spec. If it's not, I prefer the Python name. And I have to say, from my perspective, I would support renaming this unless someone else feels strongly that we shouldn't.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll take a look around and I can comment on this issue again. And another option, of course, is like to rename it and then leave like a reference to the old name, just for backward compatibility. If we want to do that, I don't know how you feel about that.
We haven't done that yet. I think after 1.0, we'll have to do stuff like that, but we've been, that's the whole point of having a 0.x version, is to not have to worry about making those types of breaking changes. If we're going to decide we're going to keep everything backwards compatible now, then we may as well go to 1.0.
Yep, I think that's what I'm getting at.
I think, Bart, you're the only one. I'm looking for your opinion in particular because you, I think, tend to be a little bit more hesitant on renames like this. How do you feel about it?
I think that's in Python, so it's fine. I'm just checking the API if there is anything like this.
I think in our API we call the interface the text map propagator. We removed HTTP from the name in the API a long time ago. As far as I know, the name.
This is what I just find only about propagator API, and they only call about text map propagator, and that's it.
Yeah, which is the text map, I guess, is like a generalization of the HTTP. It doesn't have to be an HTTP header. It just has to be a map from string to string.
And then it's only mentioned that W3C trace context specification, and that's it. So yeah, text map propagator sounds fine, like in Python.
So the Python name then, is that what we're going to go with?
I mean, at least my vote would go for that.
Okay, so Aaron, are you going to submit the PR for that then?
Yeah, you can assign me that.
Awesome. You.
Just make sure if there are any examples, please also change them.
Yeah, a global search.
Yeah.
it would be helpful.
And we
Yeah,
have
there's probably-
exactly the same in contrib, yeah?
Yeah, there's probably something in contrib too. I'll have a look around.
Okay, I'm
Thank you.
here. Looks like you're next.
Yeah, we talked a while ago about publishing the test utils to NPM as a public package. Remember that we agreed on it, but I didn't see that anything changed. Just want to make sure that we're all in favor of doing it. And if the answer is yes, then I want to ask if it can go into the 25 release, because I think it might fix an issue with another PR that I try to solve.
Yeah, I am still in favor of publishing it.
Does
And
anyone
I
has a
think-
projection for publishing it?
I'm sorry, what?
Does anyone object publishing it, or I don't hear anyone?
I don't hear
What-
anyone
what-
saying.
What would be the name of the package that we will be publishing?
The same name, the test utils. I didn't change it.
Do we want to add contrib or?
No, I don't think we need to.
I mean, if you use this in the core, then it might be problem
If it was
because it's in contrib. Yeah, because we update first the core, then we update contrib.
so talking about a situation where core will need to use this package, and then we have like
Yeah.
a cycle.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe we can add the contrib here, word contrib, so at least
But
I
if
don't know, we avoid some confusion.
Should we
If-
move this to the core repo?
Sorry, say it again.
Should we move this package to the core repo?
Then it makes more sense to move it to the core repo. If you want to use this in the core and contrib as well.
I mean,
If only contrib, it can stay in contrib, but then I would add the name contrib.
I think it only provides like the Docker setup and teardown stuff, right? So it's not really needed in core right now. That was why we moved it to contrib to begin with. I think we can add contrib to the name if that, I don't see any reason not to do that, other than there isn't contrib in the name of any of the other packages. And it's pretty standalone. I don't think it has any dependencies on core.
there's dependencies on core.
It does, yeah.
It is.
Yeah, so, I mean, we can add contrib to the name just to make it obvious, if we, so we could call it what, contrib test utils or something?
I mean, because if you want to use it in the core, you would have the problem because of the dependency on the core on the previous version. So once you will be upgrading, you won't be able to use it until it will be like, you know, update core, release, update contrib, release, update core again.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I think if we use it in core, we need to move it to core, right? As long as we don't use it in core, it can stay in contrib. But if we decide to move it in core, I think it should belong there.
Yeah, I think so.
Exactly. I mean, we can rename have contrib like now and then release it, or we can. But on the first day that someone wants to use in the core, it should be blended in the core. Then.
Yeah, let's just change the name for now. And we can always, if we move it to core later, we can always change the name back and deprecate the contrib version of it or something like that.
Yeah, but if it lives in core and someone needs to make changes for a package in contrib, then it becomes more complex. Like if you're adding a new instrumentation and you need to add it to the Docker commands, Then you have to make the PR in core, release it, and then go back to contrib and create your PR in contrib.
Yeah.
Makes
Yeah.
it more complex.
I think putting contrib in the name, it's fairly tightly coupled to all of the contrib components already. So I think we should just put contrib in the name to make that obvious.
Okay, so we'll update my PR. Do you think it can be published on the 25 release?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll do it now.
Okay.
That's it.
And I think that was the last item we had on the agenda here. Is there anyone else that wants to bring something up? Okay, well, thank you everybody for your time, and I will talk to you next week then.
See you.
Thank you.
Thank you.